It was late October, the days growing shorter and the nights longer, shrouded in an air of chill that was invigorating and unsettling. I'd returned to my hometown of Killeen, Texas after spending years chasing dreams in the city, hoping to rekindle a sense of belonging in a place that was once so familiar. But the whispers of the woods that flanked the outskirts of town grew louder during this time of year, warming with a sinister hum that I could never quite shake off. The old folks would tell stories of the black-eyed children, eerie creatures that haunted the edges of town, tales that I dismissed as mere folklore. Yet, even as I rationalized, I couldn't help but feel a tremor of unease in my bones whenever I trudged through the autumn leaves, along the dark roads home, especially when dusk fell like a great shadow over the world. It was one of those nights when the moon hung like a ghostly silver coin in the sky, weeping down luminescence upon the silent landscape. I'd just returned from the bar, the remnants of laughter echoing in my mind. I took a route through the thicket to cut home, something I rarely did in the dark. As I waded deeper into the woods, the trees whispered secrets that I couldn't quite make out, but felt I should heed. The frosty air closed over me, and the rustle of leaves made my skin crawl. I stopped, trying to catch my breath, and that's when I heard them, indistinct whispers spilling from nowhere and everywhere all at once. I shrugged off the feeling, attributing it to the drinking or perhaps the fatigue from my day. Yet, as I pressed forward, the shadows formed into shapes, darting just out of reach of my vision. Then, out of the depths of straining darkness, two figures appeared. At first, they were cloaked in the night, nothing more than silhouettes. But as I stepped closer, my heart pounded in my chest like a dark omen. A pair of children stood before me, their lanky bodies unnervingly still, swathed in clothing that lacked color, faded and worn. "Can you help us?" the girl spoke, her voice unnaturally soft against the backdrop of the chilly October air. But it was her eyes, black eyes that swallowed light, that sent a frigid wave of terror crashing through my veins. Each eye was void of color, devoid of humanity, reflecting nothing but the endless abyss of a pitch-black night. The boy beside her mirrored her eerie gaze, emotionless and unnerving. I stepped back instinctively, but they didn't move. Instead, they just stared, those wide, empty pits demanding attention, demanding to be seen. "We need to find our mom," said the boy, his voice a near whisper, each word more chilling than the last. "Can you take us to her?" My mind screamed to run, to escape. Instead, I found myself rooted in places dread and raw fear took over. I glanced around, feeling the woods closing in, the branches like fingers, clawing to snatch me away. "No, I can't." "You should go home," I stammered, trying to break the spell. Their faces remained disturbingly placid as they moved a step closer, the distance shrinking like a black hole pulling me in. "Please," the girl's voice had a haunting frequency, reverberating through the veil of night, echoing my name as if they'd known me all along. "We're lost. We can't find her without your help." Something inside me snapped. I couldn't shake the sense that they were feeding off my fear. The wind grew cold, almost causing my body to shiver. I felt trapped, ensnared between an instinctual urge to flee and an inexplicable curiosity that clawed at the edges of my heart. "Stay back." My voice rang into the stillness, sharp and desperate. I began to turn. I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be entangled in this darkness with them. But when I looked back, their expressions hadn't changed, they were still grinning beneath the unfathomable depths of their void-like eyes. But then something shifted, their smiles faltered for a mere instant as the darkness around them stirred, something deep and ancient awakening at my instinctual fear. I realized too late that I was backing into the trees, their gnarled roots tangled beneath my feet. Then, there it was, the unmistakable sound of footsteps creaking over fallen leaves, a disturbance in the darkness that sent my heart racing. "Please, I need to go," I whispered, shame burning my cheeks as I felt the tears beginning to well. The pressure of their gaze weighed upon me as if I were being dissected. "Stay where you are." They didn't respond. Instead, the edges of their grotesque smiles widened, the darkness of their eyes absorbing the multitude of emotions shifting in me, fear, desperation, shame, until it culminated into a scream that clawed at the insides of my throat. And just like that, I broke. I turned on my heel and bolted, taking to the thicket as though the devil himself were chasing me. Their laughter echoed behind me, coiling around my mind like ivy clinging to a decaying wall. I sprinted as fast as my legs could carry me, branches scratching my face, the cold air burning in my lungs. After what felt like an eternity, I burst into the open, the moonlight washing over me, bathing me in its ghostly glow. The shadows of the trees receded behind me, fading in the distance as I stumbled into the weak streetlight that blinked beside my childhood home. When I finally reached the porch, I tried to catch my breath, trying to reason with reality. Those children were not children, they were something ungraspable, perhaps manifestations of the stories that haunted this town, creatures of the night meant to ensnare the unwary. I glanced back into the woods, heart racing, but the only response I received was their unsettling lull, echoing through the wind. I would never walk those woods alone in the night again. I would not risk giving the woods, or those children, a second chance to get me. As I lay in bed that night, the dark corners of my room seemed to gleam with their phantom presence, the reminder that some stories are far more than just tales, and that sometimes, what lurks in the shadows craves the very light of your soul.